Change is a huge factor in 2018.
There have been great big changes.
Being on the front of what that change is or could be is absolutely critical.
The biggest challenge is the speed of change and the amount of information that one has to digest.
We must perpetually learn and adapt.
You can take charge of change.
Taking charge of change means taking advantage of what life throws at you. You shouldn't be fearful about change, but really view it as an opportunity.
You could be overwhelmed by change, frozen by change, coming fast and furiously.
But don't be fearful. Change comes, and often people think that it's going to be for the worse, but think of the technological changes that we've had. I would be hard-pressed to find anybody who believes the world is worse off for those technologies.
The key point there is all of this change that's happening, and I think the challenge that AML officers have, or other financial crime professionals, is just staying up to date and current with what's happening, because there's so much information coming at you.
Understanding the nature of change is looking at something from a 360-degree approach. When we look at things in isolation, there's a greater propensity for us to lose sight of the bigger picture, so you miss the gaps, you miss the pieces that are critical to understanding a broader context for things.
I think if there's one thing that characterizes the existence of a compliance officer in 2018, it's having to deal with change, whether it's virtual currency, regulatory tech, artificial intelligence, and also just the constant changes that come from regulators.
A compliance professional needs to be comfortable with working in what I call the gray. They need to realize that a lot of the laws and regulations and the infrastructure are based on the 70s and 80s and sometimes even the 90s. However, the pace at which innovation is occurring is kind of at times either running straight through these laws and regulations or for the most part running around them.
AML professionals need to consider the increasing importance of technology and data analytics as it impacts on financial crime and AML and also cyber. And that probably means that you're going to have to seek out some new opportunities to educate yourself in some of the areas that you might not be as strong in.
Whether that be understanding Bitcoin or understanding the math behind blockchain technology in order to understand the implications of money movement through it.
Advancements in technology are having a huge impact on financial services, so a lot of it comes also down to recognizing the new business models, recognizing the new technology, and kind of staying at the forefront of innovation.
Cyber creates new challenges within the AML community. Cyber itself is a relatively newer area, but the evolution of crime is not. When the Postal Service came about, mail fraud came online. When the telephone became ubiquitous, we saw the onset of wire fraud. And now that 40% of the world uses the internet, it's only natural that we now see the onset of cyber-related crimes. However, the methodology to combat this has never changed. We just need to understand, assess, and adapt, and then repeat that process for any new technology that comes online.
There have been great big changes in the anti-money laundering area, as well as in the human trafficking area. The fight against human trafficking, it's everywhere. A lot of banks thought that maybe we weren't the ones that needed to be looking for it. In the smaller towns as well as the larger towns, it is everywhere.
In a field where things change rapidly, having that ability to simply and efficiently communicate could be the difference between launching a product and an idea that just never leaves the paper.
One of the things that happens at this conference, it may not exactly be group therapy, but it is a chance for people from the regulatory community, from the banking community, from MSBs, from all over the country, and indeed representatives from all over the world to come together and talk about this incredible push of change that they have to adjust to and cope with. So spend time here at the ACAMS 23rd Money Laundering, AML, and Financial Conference and take a deep breath and realize that you can take charge of change.